Hi, folks. Also, very different feeling speaking to an exclusive bunch of you, the tribe, the family, than if I was speaking to potentially, I don't know how many strangers and just sharing my energy. Yeah, I've just become a lot more conserving of my energy, right? Because I don't know, maybe you also felt that the more that we're evolving, the more that we're growing, I don't know, whatever it is, you know, that the more sensitive we're becoming to energies and exchanges of energies and what impacts on our energies and what uplifts or my energy, and things like that. We're becoming more aware of it. Sometimes I feel like, not that I would do this, but sometimes if I was concentrating on somebody who's talking to me, but not trying to drain my energy, like it's almost like if I put intention on it, that I can almost sort of just not feed off the energy, but almost take their energy in a way. I was watching this TV series called Into the Shadows. I wouldn't really recommend it. But it's about these vampires who live somewhere in New York, current times. I mean, they've been around for hundreds of years or thousands of years. And there's one vampire in particular who looks exactly like a human being, and he walks around during the day. He's got an office job, and he feeds off other people's energy. He's sort of like a very boring, got a very like a monotone kind of voice, and he speaks to the people at the office about the most mundane, boring things. But while he's doing it, he's feeding off their energy, and you can just see the people's eyes closing and his victims' eyes closing, and it's people in the office don't and realize what he's actually doing, right? I mean, they're not sensitive enough to what he's doing. I mean, otherwise they would say, look, I really feel shitty and drained. I mean, obviously it's a series, but I mean, we don't realize, it's a movie, I'm saying, it's a TV program. We don't realize how much people actually in environments drain our energies. That's what I'm kind of saying. Like, we're not aware of it, right? I mean, most people are hardly aware of it, I would say. And so again, on this journey, you become more sensitive to things that are not in balance, I suppose, right? Or not healthy, and whatever it is. And energy plays a big part of that. And again, you become just more sensitive to it. And more sensitive to the beautiful energies, more moved by the natural, organic, authentic energies, right? I mean, there's no question about it. And so that would make sense. So for myself, I just, I'm pretty okay in my house until I leave it, in regards to energies. I'm kind of in my own world. I'm sure like many of you are. But sort of when you step outside your front door, I mean, maybe you also have it in your own home as well, but I think it's okay to some degree in one's own home. It's not as much as you step outside in today's world. So for myself, I stepped outside today for the first time. I went to the convenience store, sort of like a 7-Eleven at the gas station here. And I was standing in line, I was reading the newspaper, and this homeless guy, I mean, his mind is obviously not there, and it hasn't been for a long time, and stank. Like, I mean, I don't know what he's wearing. He's wearing one of these, I don't even know what he's wearing. I don't know how to describe it. It's not like a hazmat suit, but it's cloth. It's not even cloth. It's like maybe what you put over, flowers so it doesn't get frost or something like that. People use it in restaurants, I suppose, the cooks, to cover their hair, something, but like that, and he's wearing that and something else underneath. I didn't want to look, and he's got one shoe on, and it's Jesus, the guy just stinks. So I'm reading the newspaper, and he leans over me. I'm not joking. He leans over my shoulder, and he's quite a tall guy, and he just goes, "Oh, that is interesting. Yeah, yeah." And I got such a fright. I was got such a fright. I felt my space was absolutely invaded. It was just horrific. and the stench of the guy. I mean, and he had a blanket, as well, like a not a duvet, whatever it is, but a blanket of sorts, and it was absolutely filthy. I mean, he was a wreck. He was absolutely. But it was just, it really startled me. I mean, of course, it would startle anybody. He's standing in a store, and this happens often. This happens often. Yesterday, I went for a walk on a promenade, and on the beach near town, promenade near the beach, and there's a lot of homeless people. There's a lot of just homeless people, and I'm not going back there again, folks. It's just too heavy. And I had to drive into like a deeper part of town than I usually have to, and it is just so bad. The filth, like it's just, I mean, bags and bags of trash everywhere, just mountains of it, just spewing around, the wind blowing it in all directions. These dilapidated buildings, like it's just, and the homeless. Wow, you can't. It's just too intense to see the dreariness in their eyes. That's just, and just besides for that, having to contend with the traffic in town, the way that people drive. Anyway, and so, and then it's not only that, like it's again the sanitizing agents, that are everywhere, and the people who make sure that your mask is properly fitted, and people are uncomfortable, man. Why wouldn't they be? They're uncomfortable. They're like, you lean too far over the counter because you can't hear the woman because she's talking behind her mask, and she's like just backs off and be like, almost takes the spray and sort of sprays you type of thing. And the discomfort of handing over your credit card, and she has to disinfect and spray, and then she hands it back to you, and it's just, everything is just, oh, and it's terrible. And people are like, on edge, on nerve. It's terrible. I mean, you know what I'm saying, folks. It's absolutely draining. But what can we do about it? We don't want to sort of just stay in our houses all the time, or our apartments or something like that. That's not reasonable. Sure, we can try and choose better environments to be in, but like, we're living in modernity in this kind of situation. We're having to travel, we're having to see, we've got things to do, jobs. Thank goodness I don't really have a job. It's a long story, I kind of do, but very part-time. I'll get into that in another stage. Here's the thing, folks, is being prepared. Preparedness helps tremendously. If you know what you're going into to a certain degree, then it helps. What can I say? I traveled up to Johannesburg about a month ago, let's say a month and a half ago. When I came back, I was wiped. I went back about 2.5 weeks ago, and I came back and I was a lot better. I was really fine. Why? Because I knew what I was getting into. I paced myself correctly, I didn't burn myself out. I was aware of the energies, the people, what I was going to be up against. Look, there were some surprises and curveballs, there always is. But I understood better what I was getting into. Like when you've been on a hike and you didn't take any water because you didn't think it was that intense, or you didn't think that, it was so hot or something like that. And you thought, half an hour, or maybe it would have turned out to be much longer and much hotter. And then you realized you hadn't eaten anything, and now you're feeling worse for wear, and you got a headache, you're dehydrated. But now you know that you're doing the same hike 2 weeks later, you're going to be prepared, and preparedness helps. And so what I'm trying to say is that we need to appreciate where the world is at and where people are holding in the situation, at hand, and what's going on. And understand that the despairing energies that are out there, the desperate energies that are out there, the malicious energies that are out there, right? Again, this is not to hide under one's bed, close the curtains, and whatever it is, because we need to face the music. But we do that by preparing, right? We know that you can be in a good mood, you can be on top of the world, you've done a good yoga, meditation, I don't know, you've been dieting or something like that, and whatever it might be, you're just feeling great. But I don't know, for myself, I can't keep my spirits high when I enter the world, so to speak, when I leave my house. Very, very, very difficult for me to do. It's a very sullen place, right? People, it's very, very heavy energy, more so than other times that it has been, right? To see 2-year-olds wearing masks, that impacts. Again, we're more sensitive and less desensitized than others, whatever it is. We feel the impact. And so we don't realize how deeply affected we are just subconsciously a lot of the time. We don't realize. Um, but we need to be. We need to understand that we walk out and what the world is about. We can't forget what it's about. How many times have you had, I don't know, like a conversation with an old friend and you regretted even seeing them and we're like, oh shit. But enough time goes past where you forget about the unpleasantness of who that friend is and what you spoke about in the last conversation. It happens with parents a lot. It happens with family for myself. It's like it takes time to actually learn, oh, this is where they're holding, this is what they're about, this is how comfortable they make me, I often think of, I don't know why, maybe it's psychological to some degree. I mean, I'm a lot better at it now. But, that this person, family member is very depressing, very neurotic, let's say, whatever's got a lot of advice for you. And sometimes maybe you're feeling lonely and you haven't seen that family member for a while and they do love you at the end of the day to a certain degree and they care for you and, there's not many people that care for you and think of you and whatever it is. And so, you kind of, you miss them and maybe it's been a few months that you haven't seen them and you forget. Or you just speak to them on the phone and then you're reminded. And so this is the thing, folks, is that we can't misplace the reality of the world, or what it's about. We just can't afford to do it. Absolutely, you've made the mistake where you've had something to eat, like I don't know, something too fried or too rich or too creamy or something like that, and you regretted eating it. But it was some time had passed since you had last been to that restaurant, so you forget that experience, and so you order it again. You're like, oh shit, I remember why. I've ordered this before, and it just didn't agree with me, and now I'm eating it again. You can't afford to do that. I mean, I know it happens, but it's a bad analogy. But we can't, like, I don't know. We're watching a TV series, and the first episode is disturbing. Be like, no, I can't watch this. Okay, let me watch the second one. Maybe it gets better. And the second episode just as appalling. Right? And you got to say it's not going to get any better. You're being traumatized. You're being affected. I'm having this situation now with this series called Kidding because it is by Jim Carrey. It's very good to a certain degree, but there's just such pornographic scenes in this. I don't know why. I don't know why they do that. I don't know why it's necessary. In every episode, there's gay sex. There's a woman pleasuring herself while her boyfriend is kissing her toes. I don't know for what. I don't know why it is. There's another a guy giving another guy, I mean, I don't want to say it, in the parking lot, and the daughter catches the father with the next door, and the man with the next door neighbor, whatever it is, a man. It's like hideous. It's like, what is sickening, so sickening. And this world is sickening. It is offensive. It is. I mean, I was in doing some grocery shopping, and the Shaggy song came on. It's about my girlfriend caught me butt naked, banging on the kitchen floor. And people are just walking around and buying their milk and getting their bread and whatever it is, and their donuts and their cheese, and it's and the song is playing, and I'm like, hello. And this song was released in 2001, so it's like a popular hit song. And people, oh, I love this song. Have you heard the words? Somebody actually, an extended family friend or something, because I was talking about the one song by Chris Brown, Freaky Friday. And they were giving me a hard time about it months ago when I mentioned the lyrics. They're like, oh, you're such a prude or something like that. Anyway, they came back to me the other day and said, I had to listen to the lyrics. I mean, I know the song. I've never listened to the lyrics. And she said it's appalling. Anyways, folks, I don't want this to be long. And so prepared, for yourself. If you have a late night, the next day you're going to be, feeling it terribly. You prepare yourself. You haven't, you don't go to bed that late. You just getting wiser. You just, and I mean, I sound like I'm preaching. I'm telling you what to do, but I'm just speaking for myself. And it takes discipline, absolutely. And don't confuse where you at and where the world is at and where others are holding. Don't do that. You can't afford to do that. It's treacherous to do that. And so prepare, in your own way. Know what you're going into. You go into the supermarket. You know what's great to do, folks, is if you take, and I'm sure there's many other practices as well, essential oils, sage, sandalwood. You can take lavender. You can mix it all together, like in a alcohol base. Like in a vodka, or I don't know what else. I mean, I've often just used vodka, and you make a spray with it, and you dilute the essential oils, and then I rub it on my stomach, on my neck, front of my neck, and the back of my neck, on my forehead, and the bottom of my spine. And I just feel a little bit protected energetically. I mean, with ayahuasca, when you go into ayahuasca, you take these herbal baths, if you will, not herbs, but sometimes it's herbs, sometimes it's essential oils, whatever it might be. You prepare yourself for going into that space, right? You protect yourself. This is what I'm talking about here, folks. Protecting oneself, protecting one's soul, and protecting one's spirit, right? Protecting oneself by being prepared to knowing what you're going into. And again, you can't anticipate what it's going into. Not to be nervous about what you're going into, but understand. And just be realistic and be responsible. And be responsible. Okay? And one other thing I just want to end off on. I find myself, I get frustrated very easily. Like, there's no doubt about it. This world is very frustrating. And, it just takes somebody to, if I I forgot to sanitize, or the temperature thermometer is not working in front of the shop, and they have to get the batteries, and I have to stand there waiting and waiting and waiting, and I can't go into the store, and I get frustrated. Many things frustrate me. The news frustrates me. There's many things. And what happens when I get frustrated, I feel like it's okay for me to get angry, be impatient, eat what I want to eat, and whatever it is. And not extreme eat what I want to eat, but like not overindulge, but I'll indulge unnecessarily. And sometimes it's okay because it's soothing, but other times afterwards I'm like regretting. And so what I'm saying is that we just need to maintain ourselves through all of this. It's very hard to do. I lost my cool with the landlord that hasn't paid me back, and I left a voice message on his phone. I couldn't believe it. Just this fire came out of me. And I don't know. I still haven't heard from him. I probably still won't. It's a shop that I was renting. I left the shop before the lockdown back in March, and they still haven't paid me my deposit. And I'm just fighting with him all the time. And so, anyways, people will piss you off, and the problem is that it really impacts us. And I'm trying to sort of just not be bothered about it. And we do silly things from time to time. It's not to pull ourselves over, the coals. I'll just finish off on this. When I went into town, yesterday to buy some fencing, whatever it was, to protect my vegetables from the monkeys. I was driving through such dingy, dodgy, and disturbing areas. When I got to the place, I was also very upset because on the website it looked like it was just this massive company with 2 or 3 floors and samples, and I walked in, and it was this house that they converted the driveway into their shop, and they just had a few. I was so disappointed, and it was such a dodgy area. And I said to the woman, it's a white lady, I said, is it safe here? She says, it's okay because the thieves go to the richer parts. Here down, she says, we're fine here. And then I said to her, you don't live in the house, do you? I thought, what a silly thing to say. And she turned out that she did. But I was rattled, I was uncomfortable. And I wasn't myself. And I said that, but I can't regret it. I mean, I can try and be more aware in the future, but things like that, folks, we can't. We're dealing with so much that's going on, and we're going to slip up. Sometimes we with people, I didn't say the right thing, what are they going to think of me, or all this shit. such small time stuff that we just can't give ourselves a hard time about, can't afford to give ourselves a hard time about. We really need to find to be kind in ourselves, and I think that's what I'm talking about here. In preserving, in protecting, in preparing, is really just being kind to oneself, right? It's being aware of oneself, of what is offending, what is disturbing, what is upsetting, what is, just what impact, takes you off your balance or whatever it is. And it's being kind to oneself and being realistic, being absolutely realistic. And not going with the emotional swings, bloody hell, of the culture that we are in. Oh, did you hear that they're going to have the vax ready by this, or whatever it is, or just the cases dropped over here, and therefore, it's looking, forget about it. Forget about it. This is looking positive, this is looking negative. This person, or whatever, it's a roller coaster we just don't want to be involved in, and the mood swings. Oh, the mood swings. The desperations. Folks, is a much profounder, deeper, richer experience that's really happening on the spiritual realms, if you want to say, on the existential and the mystical parts of life, for us to be engaged on the pettiness. And I mean, it's important to pay attention, but the sort of, he said this and she said that, and he's this color and she's that. I mean, it's just absolutely insulting to the spirit. We just don't want to be a part of it, We just don't want to be a part of it. Pay attention to it, but see it for what it is. But, it's not our world anymore, folks. It hasn't been for a long time. It really hasn't been for a long time. It's not our place anymore. We're moving, to the great beyond, if you will. And this is not our place. It's got a short time left here. I don't know what I mean by that, or why I even say that, but it seems appropriate to say that. It seems fitting to say that, because as you feel just as much as I do, that we don't really belong here anymore, or we've outgrown it. Let's rather say we don't belong. It's not that there is a should or shouldn't that we, it's just that we're outgrowing it at such a rapid rate that eventually they'll just, there'll be nothing left but just to wave it goodbye. Must be at some stage, folks. Must be. So that's what we don't want to lose, our sight on. We don't want to take our eye off the prize, if you will, right, on the bigger picture. We don't want to do that. We don't want to get immersed in the chaos. And I think I'll also do a talk on chaos as well, right? Because chaos is unleashed. Chaos is unleashed, and I tell you, it's very hard to prepare to take on chaos if you're not prepared. It's chaos. It's got 10-pronged attack. You can't. It's too much. So, but chaos can also be a cleanser as well. But to a degree, it can be quicksand. It can be it's a very fine line when it comes to chaos. Chaos can be a purifier, but it can but it can dissolve you completely at the same time in a very unhealthy way. They're using chaos is being used now in order to break down the old to bring in the new. So it's sterilizing. It's not just, it's sterilizing. So I wouldn't even say it's sterilizing. It's breaking down in order to build the new, but the new in the image of the way that they, the establishment wanted to be built. And we don't want to be built in anywhere, in any resemblance, in any connection to the image or the intention that these, controllers, these gods, if you will, the intention that they have in mind. All right, folks. So we'll leave it at that for now. Again, just thanks for your viewership. Thanks for your traveling with me. Thanks for listening to me. Geez, yeah. And thanks for being there. Chat soon. Bye.